The whisper of Category Red. The chamber of the Galactic Council was silent, the kind of silence that carried weight, like the air itself refused to move. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in a circle, their strange faces lit by the glow of ancient star maps. Each of them represented empires that stretched across light years, races that had conquered worlds, crushed rebellions and written history in blood, yet today none of them spoke easily. At the center of the hall floated a single projection, a glowing mark in red, a warning symbol no one had seen in generations. The words were simple, translated into every language of the Council. Category Red, Humanity. Whispers broke the silence. A scaled ambassador from the Drakthor leaned forward, his golden eyes narrowing. Impossible, he hissed. Humans are weak. Their planet's small, their fleet's nothing compared to ours. His voice echoed. But his words did not carry the confidence he wanted. An elder from the Veari, a species of tall, crystal-boned beings, tapped the council table with his staff. His voice trembled as he spoke. Do you know what Category Red means? It is not about numbers, not about size. It means unpredictable. It means uncontrollable. It means fear itself. The word lingered. Fear, a concept most empires believed they had erased. For centuries they thought only primitive worlds felt such emotions. But now, as the mark glowed brighter, they felt it return. A hologram flickered to life, showing Earth, blue oceans, green forests, swirling white clouds. To the Council it looked harmless, fragile, a jewel among the stars. But the records told a different story. Old battles where human soldiers fought far beyond their limits. Reports of humans who rebuilt cities after total destruction. And rumors. Whispers, really, that humans could survive things no other species could. They bleed, muttered the insectoid chancellor of the Zarkal, his mandibles clicking nervously. They starve, they burn, they freeze, and still they fight. His wings twitched as if he wanted to fly out of the chamber. The Drakthor ambassador slammed a claw on the table. Lies, he snarled. I fought humans once long ago. They were small, fragile, nothing but prey. The chamber fell quiet again, until a soft voice answered him. It came from a pale, cloaked figure, an archivist of the ancient records. Her words were slow, steady, and cold. And did they surrender, Drakthor? Or did they fight you until the last breath? The ambassador's jaw tightened, he remembered. The humans had not begged. They had not bowed. Even when broken, they had fought. They had stared with eyes full of fire. And that memory still haunted him. He said nothing. The cloaked archivist stepped forward. Her hologram shifted, showing ancient text. Warnings left by civilizations long gone. Category Red is rare, she said. It means a species that cannot be contained no matter the chains. No matter the war, they rise again and again, until the galaxy bends or breaks. A chill swept through the hall. The delegates, who ruled entire star systems, suddenly felt like prey. Every eye turned back to the red mark. Every voice trembled when speaking the same word. Humanity, the Veari elder spoke again, his crystal bones shining faintly in the light. Long ago, Category Red was declared on the Korath swarm. It devoured 20 systems before it was stopped. And even then, it took the united fleets of 5 empires. But this, he pointed a long finger at Earth's image. This is worse. The swarm acted without thought. Humans act with reason, with will. A shiver passed among the delegates. One by one, they realized what it meant. If humans were truly Category Red, then no alliance, no empire, no law would control them. The galaxy itself might tremble before their rise. At the edge of the chamber, a younger delegate whispered to his companion. His voice carried through the silence. If this is true, then we are already too late. The words struck every heart like a blade. The whisper spread through the chamber, passed from alien to alien until it felt like the entire council was murmuring the same thing. Too late. Too late. Above them, the red warning symbol pulsed again, brighter than before. It lit their faces in crimson light. In that moment, even the most arrogant empires felt a taste of something they thought long forgotten. Fear and the whisper of Category Red began to spread beyond the chamber. Carried by messengers, data streams, and rumors, soon the whole galaxy would hear it, and when they did, the stars themselves would tremble. A fragile species? Across the galaxy, the whispers grew louder. The words Category Red spread like wildfire, carried by traitors, smugglers, and frightened diplomats, yet still many doubted. How could a fragile species like humans bring fear to civilizations that had ruled the stars for thousands of years? Inside a military chamber aboard the Krell Dominion flagship, several commanders gathered. The room was lined with polished black stone and glowing tactical screens. One commander, tall and armored, spoke with a tone full of mockery. Humans? Category Red? They are weak, they are fragile. Their bodies are soft, their lifespans short. One blow can break them, he laughed. And others joined. Another officer, however, remained silent. His eyes locked on the glowing image of Earth, his voice calm but steady. Cut through the laughter. If they are so weak, why do the records say they survived the great winter? The endless plagues and the burning skies of their own world? Why does every story end with them still alive? The laughter faded. The room grew still for centuries. The galaxy had believed survival was tied to strength, to armor, to size, but humans, fragile as they seemed, had defied every law. An old holo record played on the wall, showing images of humans long before they reached the stars. They fought wild beasts with nothing but sharpened sticks. They crossed frozen lands with fire and hope. They built shelters from storms that would have wiped out other species. Fragile bodies, yes, but spirits that refused to bend. One Krell general scoffed. So they survive. Survival is not power. They cannot match our war fleets, they cannot break our armies, yet the holo changed. It showed human soldiers in their first encounters with alien raiders. Their ships small, their weapons primitive. But their strategies shocking. They adapted mid-battle. Turning losses into victories, they fought with a fury that rivaled predators. They are small, the silent officer murmured, but they never stop. That is what makes them dangerous. In another corner of the galaxy, a scholar from the Veyri sat before her students. Her crystal frame shimmered as she spoke. We measure power in lasers and shields and fleets, she said. But humans measure power in something else. Hope, she paused, and her voice softened. Do not laugh at hope, for hope is what carries them when strength fails. Her students looked uneasy. The galaxy was built on fear and dominance. Few races had ever valued hope. To them it seemed like weakness. But in the stories of humanity, hope was not weakness, it was the seed of resilience. Rumors spread further. Some told of human workers who rebuilt cities in days after orbital bombardments. Others spoke of children who grew up in ruins and still dreamed of stars. And then came the darkest whisper of all. Humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for each other. This idea unsettled the empires. Many species fought for resources, for territory, for pride. But humans, when cornered, fought for family, for friends, for strangers. It gave them a fire that could not be measured on any chart. Back in the Krell chamber, the mocking commander finally grew quiet. He remembered something, a battle he once witnessed. A human soldier, mortally wounded, had thrown himself into enemy fire to protect a comrade. The Krell had won that battle, but the image of that dying human still haunted him. The silent officer looked at him and spoke in a low tone. You see it too, don't you? They are fragile, yes, but fragility makes them fearless. Every moment could be their last, so they fight as if it is their last. Across the galaxy, more voices began to rise. Some laughed at the idea of humans being a threat. Others whispered in secret chambers, warning their leaders not to underestimate Earth. The truth was beginning to take shape. Fragile bodies meant nothing. Fragile hearts were unbreakable. In the Great Council archives, the red mark pulsed again, glowing brighter than ever. The word spread through the stars. Humanity. Fragile in flesh. Unyielding in spirit. And for the first time, the galaxy realized fragility could be the sharpest weapon of all. The test of fire. The galactic whispers were no longer enough. Empires demanded proof. How could fragile humans truly be a danger to powers that had ruled for thousands of years? The Krell Dominion, proud and arrogant, decided to test the truth themselves. They would strike at Earth, not with full force, but with a measured hand. A single fleet was sent, sharp and cruel, designed to test humanity's limits. The fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system, dark ships gliding like blades through the void. The commander of the Krell fleet sneered. His voice echoed in the chamber of his flagship. This will be swift, he said. We will shatter their defenses, watch them beg, and carry their leaders in chains. His crew cheered, confident in their overwhelming power. On Earth, alarms rang out. Human satellites detected the incoming fleet. Their ships were smaller, their weapons weaker, but they did not hide. They launched every vessel they had, military ships, converted freighters, even civilian crafts armed with makeshift weapons. The first clash was brutal. The Krell unleashed firepower that tore through human ships, explosions painting the void. Alien commanders laughed at the sight. "Look at them burn," one said. "They fall like dry leaves." But then, something unexpected happened. The humans did not retreat. They adapted. In minutes, their formations shifted. Pilots moved with strange patterns, weaving through fire like dancers. Every ship lost taught them a new trick. Every mistake became a lesson. The battle that should have ended in minutes stretched into hours. On the bridge of the Krell flagship, silence replaced laughter. The commander leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Impossible," he muttered. "They learn too fast." One human pilot, his ship scarred and burning, rammed into a Krell cruiser, destroying both in a brilliant flash. Another, with no weapons left, feigned surrender, only to launch a desperate counterattack that crippled a destroyer. These were not the tactics of prey. These were the tactics of predators hidden in fragile skins. Reports flooded the Krell fleet. Losses mounting, human resistance rising. They are not breaking. Panic began to crawl into alien voices. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more pressed forward, as if death itself only fueled their fire. On Earth, commanders shouted orders, calm yet fierce. "Hold the line," they said, "protect the planet." Civilians who had never seen battle volunteered. Engineers turned miners into soldiers. Families prayed, but none begged for mercy. Humanity fought as one, not for conquest, but for survival. After 2 days of endless fire, the Krell fleet expected surrender. Instead, they watched as damaged human ships rejoined the fight with makeshift repairs. Pieces of broken vessels were welded back together in orbit. Pilots flying patched ships that looked like ghosts. The galaxy had never seen such defiance. Finally, the Krell commander gave the order no one expected. "Retreat," he growled. His fleet limped away, scarred and humiliated. Behind them, human ships did not chase for glory. They simply regrouped, ready for the next wave. When word of the battle reached the Galactic Council, disbelief turned into dread. One ambassador whispered, "This is not possible. They should have fallen." Another, pale and trembling, replied, "This is what Category Red means." The council chamber grew silent as new reports spread. Even defeated, humans rebuilt. Even bleeding, they fought. And even fragile, they made entire fleets retreat. The Vayari elder raised his staff and spoke. "The test of fire has been given, and humanity has passed. They do not just fight wars, they turn wars into lessons. Every battle makes them stronger. Every loss prepares them for victory. How do you defeat such a species?" No one answered, because no one could. In the void beyond Earth, wreckage of Krell and human ships drifted together, silent witnesses of what had just begun. The galaxy stared at the scars of the battle and realized the test of fire had not burned humanity down. It had forged them into something terrifying, and this was only the beginning. The human mind, the galaxy could not forget the battle. The Krell had tested humanity and failed. Their mighty fleet had limped home in shame. Yet the humans, fragile as glass, stood unbroken, stronger than before. But the warships were only half the story. What truly disturbed the Council was not human weapons but the human mind. In the archives of the Galactic Council, records began to surface, reports from spies, traitors, and even prisoners of war. They spoke of a strange pattern. Unlike other species, humans never fought the same way twice. Every encounter was different. Every tactic changed. They absorbed knowledge like sponges, turning mistakes into weapons. An alien scholar from the Sarathi Alliance addressed her council. Her scaled fingers tapped nervously as she displayed the reports. "Observe," she said. "Here, a human unit faced overwhelming numbers. They should have died within minutes. Yet they retreated in chaos only to reappear at the enemy's flank." She shifted the holo to another report. "Here, human engineers built new weapons in the middle of battle using scrap metal and broken parts." She looked around the chamber, her voice tight. "No empire trains minds like this. No empire thinks like this." The room grew cold. One general muttered, "They are unpredictable. Logic says one thing, but humans do another." Another added, "They are reckless, yet their recklessness turns into victory." Stories spread further, tales of human scientists creating cures from poisons, soldiers turning traps into escape routes, pilots flying damaged ships as if they were whole. Each story carried the same warning. Humans did not see problems as endings. They saw problems as challenges. Back in the Krell Dominion, the commander who had faced Earth stood before his superiors, his head bowed, shame heavy on his shoulders. "They should have fallen," he said. "Their ships were broken, their people unprepared. But they learned. They learned faster than we could destroy them." His words silenced the room, for Krell generals had never spoken with fear. In the great cities of the Vayari, scholars debated the nature of human will. One elder raised a chilling point. Strength fades, weapons dull, even stars burn out. But the human mind endures. They adapt not only to war, but to anything. To hunger, to loss, to despair. Even death is only a lesson for the next generation. The galaxy listened, and the fear grew. Empires realized they were not fighting bodies or ships. They were fighting something far worse, an idea, a will that refused to die. On a distant mining colony, an alien foreman told his workers a story he had heard. A single human worker trapped underground after a collapse. With air running out, the human had carved his way through stone with bare hands, broken tools, and sheer desperation. When rescued, his body was bloodied and weak, but his eyes still burned with life. "That," the foreman whispered, "is what makes them different." Back in the council chamber, the red mark pulsed again, casting crimson light across the floor. Delegates whispered nervously. One ambassador from the Zarkal tapped his claws on the table. "If they think like this in battle," he said, "what happens when they think like this in empire building? What happens when they think like this in conquest?" A hush followed. The thought was terrifying. For a species that never stopped learning, never stopped adapting, would never stop growing. Even if beaten, they would rise again. Even if burned, they would rebuild stronger. The cloaked archivist spoke once more, her voice steady. "You fear their weapons, but it is their mind that makes them category red. You cannot chain thought. You cannot kill an idea. And their idea is simple, they will not stop." The delegates lowered their heads, each of them rulers of great empires, yet none could answer how to defeat a species whose greatest weapon was not steel or fire, but thought. Outside, the stars burned cold. The galaxy held its breath, for it had faced monsters, swarms, and tyrants. But never before had it faced minds that turned fear into strategy, weakness into strength, and death into survival. The test of fire had proven their resilience. But now the galaxy understood the deeper truth. The true terror of humanity was not their bodies, not their fleets, not their weapons. It was their mind. Fear across the stars. The red mark of Category Red no longer stayed within the walls of the Galactic Council. It spread, slipping through data streams, traveling with traitors whispered by spies, and carried in the fearful voices of ambassadors. Soon across countless star systems, one word was spoken with dread: humanity. In the marketplaces of distant colonies, merchants told tales of Earth. Some claimed they had seen humans fight Krell warships and survive. Others swore that human soldiers refused to fall even when torn apart. Rumors grew wild. Some said humans drank fire to gain strength. Others said they could rise from the dead. No one knew the truth, but no one dared to laugh. On a remote world under the Zarkal Empire, citizens gathered in silence around a hollow screen. It showed footage leaked from the Krell defeat. Small human ships burning and broken, still diving into enemy fire. The crowd shivered, one worker muttered, "If they can fight like this with so little, what happens when they have more?" No one answered, for the thought was too heavy. In the halls of power, fear spread faster than logic. Admirals of mighty fleets reviewed old battles and found something chilling. Humans had always been underestimated, and yet in every clash they left scars. A Vayari historian whispered to his council, "We did not notice before, but look at the pattern. Every empire that touched them left with losses greater than expected. Every war against them ended not with their destruction, but with their survival." This realization reached common citizens. Entire populations began to question their leaders. If fragile humans could stand against mighty empires, who could protect them? Panic took root in markets, in homes, in schools. Parents warned their children never to provoke a human. Traders raised prices on goods coming from Earth. Soldiers spoke of refusing to fight them. Fear became a living thing, creeping into every corner of the galaxy. One empire, the Sarathi, tried to calm the storm. Their leaders declared humans overrated. They told their people the Krell defeat was exaggerated. But even as they spoke, deserters whispered otherwise. Veterans of the Krell battle shared stories of human eyes. Cold, determined, unyielding, one Sarathi soldier said quietly, "I saw a human pilot smile while his ship was burning." His voice shook. "I do not want to fight them again." Meanwhile, human life continued as if nothing had changed. On Earth, people repaired cities, buried their dead, and rebuilt ships. Farmers planted crops, engineers designed stronger machines. Children studied under starlight. Humanity did not yet know the galaxy trembled at their name. They simply moved forward as they always had. But in alien space, legends grew. Tales spread of humans fighting with broken weapons, of mothers shielding their children while still hurling stones at armored soldiers, of human doctors saving even alien prisoners because they refused to let life die. Each story added fuel to the fire of fear. For it was not only strength the galaxy feared, it was the human heart. In a shadowed chamber of the council, the cloaked archivist addressed a secret gathering. Her words were soft yet heavy. "We once thought fear came from monsters, from swarms, from endless destruction," she said. "But this fear is different. It does not come from brutality. It comes from knowing they will never stop. They will never surrender. They will never bow." Delegates shifted uneasily. One whispered, "If the people fear them this much now, what happens when humanity truly rises? What happens when they discover the galaxy fears them?" No one dared to answer because the answer was too dark. Fear traveled faster than light. It crossed borders, skipped walls, and reached even those who had never seen a human before. In the quiet of alien homes, parents told their young ones stories. Not to inspire bravery, but to warn them. "Never face a human," they whispered, "never corner them. For even fragile prey can become the deadliest predator when pushed." And as the stars burned cold and distant, the galaxy trembled not from human fleets, not from human weapons, but from an idea that could not be erased. The idea that fragility could hide unstoppable strength. The idea that weakness could birth unshakable will. The idea that humanity, marked Category Red, was no longer just a species, it was becoming a legend. The Red Declaration, the Galactic Council could not wait any longer. Fear had spread too far. Too many whispers had reached the outer worlds. Too many empires questioned the silence of their leaders. And so in the greatest chamber of the council, under the glow of ancient banners, the decision was made. The delegates gathered. Crystal bones, scaled skins, metallic shells, feathered wings. Thousands of voices united in one room, yet none spoke freely. The red mark pulsed at the center. Larger than ever before, it was the symbol of a truth they could no longer deny. Humanity, Category Red. The Vayari elder stood first. His staff struck the floor, echoing like thunder. "We have seen the proof," he declared. "The Krell tested them and lost. The Sarathi tried to silence the whispers and failed. Humanity adapts, humanity endures. Humanity spreads fear without even knowing it." His crystal eyes glowed. "This council cannot remain blind." The chamber erupted with voices. Some shouted in protest. "This is madness," cried a Zarkal chancellor, his wings rattling. "They are only flesh and bone. They are fragile. They cannot threaten us all." Others shouted in agreement. "Category Red is the only answer. We must prepare now. If we wait, it will be too late." The chaos shook the chamber. Until the cloaked archivist rose, her voice was soft, yet it carried through every corner. "Category Red is not a threat you crush," she said. "It is a storm you cannot stop. It is fire that burns even when drowned. Humanity has proven themselves. They will rise again and again, until even the stars bow." Silence followed her words. Every delegate felt the weight. Even the proudest empires could not deny it. One by one, votes were cast. Glowing lights filling the chamber, red after red after red, until the hall was painted in crimson light. At last the council declared it. The official words echoed across the galaxy. "By order of the Galactic Council, Earth and its people are now classified Category Red." The declaration traveled faster than fleets. In moments, worlds across the stars received it. On colonies, civilians froze as the message appeared on their holoscreens. In military academies, cadets whispered in fear. On distant trade stations, merchants bowed their heads. The galaxy shivered as the truth was made law. The Krell commander, who had already faced humanity, lowered his head in silence. He had seen it before the council declared it. He knew this day was coming. For him, the declaration was not warning, it was confirmation. But there was one truth more chilling than all others. Humanity did not know on Earth life went on. Farmers planted fields, workers built ships. Children studied beneath clear skies. Humanity continued to move forward, unaware that billions of alien eyes now watched them in fear. Inside the council chamber after the vote was cast, a Sarathi general raised his voice. If they are category red, then we must decide. Do we unite to destroy them now, or do we cower and wait for them to rise? His question hung in the air, cold and sharp. But the Vayari elder answered, You cannot destroy what you cannot break. You cannot chain what refuses to bow, even if you burn Earth to ash. Humans will rise from the smoke. The words chilled the room, and for the first time in centuries, the council had no plan. They had laws, fleets, armies, but none of them mattered against a species that turned every defeat into a lesson. And so the Red Declaration became more than a warning. It became prophecy. Entire empires reshaped their policies, some building walls, others preparing alliances. A few even whispered of seeking peace with Earth before it was too late. But the declaration carried something more powerful than laws. It carried fear. Fear that spread into every shadow. Fear that turned into nightmares. Fear that painted humanity not as fragile prey, but as the storm that would one day sweep the galaxy. Above the chamber, the red mark glowed brighter than ever before. It pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and unstoppable. As if the galaxy itself already knew, humanity had only just begun. The legend of fear. The Red Declaration spread like fire through the stars. Entire empires trembled, entire armies whispered, and entire worlds looked toward Earth with unease. For the first time in living memory, fear united the galaxy. Not fear of a swarm, not fear of a plague, but fear of fragile beings who refused to break. Humanity on the frozen world of Drakthor Prime. A group of warriors gathered in silence. Their ancestors had once mocked humans as weak prey, but now their children looked at the red mark pulsing on the council broadcast and felt only unease. One young warrior whispered, If they are category red, then perhaps we are the prey. None of his elders corrected him. In the markets of the Sarathi, traders raised prices on every good tied to Earth. Human medicine, human technology, even simple human fabrics became treasures. Some claimed owning human items could bring survival. Others claimed it would bring doom. Either way, the legend grew. Soldiers across the galaxy told stories in their barracks. They spoke of human pilots flying broken ships, of human soldiers smiling while bleeding, of mothers protecting children with nothing but their own bodies. These stories spread faster than the truth, shaping humanity into something larger than life. Some tales were lies, some exaggerated, but every whisper made the fear grow. On Earth itself, humans remained unaware. They built cities higher, sent ships further, dreamed of colonies beyond the stars. Children studied science, soldiers trained. Engineers designed. To them it was simply progress to the galaxy. It was the march of destiny. Within the Galactic Council, debates raged. Some empires demanded immediate war to crush humanity before it rose further. Others begged for alliances, fearful of becoming enemies. But the cloaked archivist stood again, her voice steady. Do you not see? It no longer matters what we decide. The legend has already been born. Legends do not die. They grow. Her words proved true. For even those who had never seen a human now feared them. On distant colonies where no human ship had ever traveled, parents told their children bedtime warnings. Do not anger the humans, do not challenge them, for they are category red, and they never stop. Children grew with the fear before they ever saw the truth. A Vayari historian wrote in his records, The galaxy has known monsters of flesh and machines of war, but never before has it feared a spirit. Humanity is not feared for its weapons. It is feared because it refuses to die. His writings were copied and spread, turning into scripture for those who believed the rise of Earth was unstoppable. In the shadows of empires, rebels and broken worlds listened too. To them, humanity was not only terror but also hope. If fragile humans can stand against giants, they whispered, then so can we. Humanity became more than fear. It became symbol. Some trembled, others prayed, and a few prepared to follow. Meanwhile, the galaxy itself began to change. Fleets were built not for conquest, but for defense. Borders tightened, alliances formed, old enemies stood side by side, united not by friendship but by dread of Earth. Humanity did not yet know it, but its shadow already stretched across the stars. And in the quiet of the council chamber, the red mark pulsed one final time, brighter than ever. The delegates watched in silence. Each of them rulers of mighty empires, yet each felt small. They had declared humanity category red, but in doing so, they had written a prophecy for someday. Earth would rise someday. Humans would reach their borders someday. The whispers would become reality. And when that day came, the galaxy would not face prey. It would face predators clothed in fragile flesh. Predators with unbreakable minds and unyielding spirits. The archivist's voice echoed in their memory. You cannot chain them. You cannot kill their idea. They will rise, until even the stars bow. Thus the legend was born, the legend of fear, the legend of humanity. And across the stars, entire civilizations shivered, for they knew the truth. The galaxy's future no longer belonged to them. It belonged to the fragile, the fearless, the unstoppable. It belonged to mankind.